Okay, welcome to Comic Books on TV podcast, episode 7.
I have no 7 or 8.
Yes, I think it's episode 7 because this is the 6th episode of Gotham and Shield this year.
No, Gotham's one ahead of Shield.
Okay, so this is the 6th of Gotham and the 5th of Shield, and then the 4th of Arrow and Flash. Okay, so we have a packed week for you guys, and I am excited to talk about all of it. Let's start with Gotham. That's the one that airs first, or I guess it airs concurrently with Supergirl.
Yeah.
This week, I gave it a C+ with a mostly stupid tagline, but I do have lots of little notes for it. So why don't you take it from here, since you seem to like it a little better than me?
I did like it a little better than you. I thought Gotham was pretty cool this week. I guess I feel like it's gotten a lot better than last year with the way that they treat the zany and over the top stuff. It's not quite as silly and slapstick feeling or corny. I don't know. It doesn't remind me of the 60s series anymore, at least anywhere near as much. And I don't know. I'm able to take it a lot better. So Oswald, I've liked him so much better this season. I don't love the writing where they have him doing all of his own dirty work. Like, he's the one doing the murdering. He's the one going in gun first, everybody to his back. Like, he isn't as good at this as he should be, but I like him. And last year I didn't. Nigma, I hope that the whiny, annoying Nigma just gets replaced by the Nigma in his head. I hope they fix this fairly soon because I think sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yes, so every plot line so far on this season has been pretty good except for the Nigma stuff. Right. This episode, just give me a whole episode of Nigma versus the Riddler trying to fucking solve his own crimes. That was fantastic. That was the highlight of the episode for me. And more of that, less of Penguin whining about his mom. But oh yeah, that's why before they killed his mom, what I was saying was, please kill her. Please, he's got to grow the fuck. He's got to be more manly. He can love his mom and still just shoot everybody. Like, how is he not holding a machine gun and a grenade or some shit? Like, if he really cares this much about his mom, how is he going in so uncovered, unprotected, unready all the time? And I'm glad she's dead because I think now we can get into some much better shit for Penguin.
Absolutely. The gag at the end was pretty fantastic visually. We can get into that in a second. The opening was kind of stupid, and Butch not being like, I had this problem with Captain Cold a few weeks ago. Butch is better as like the fun-loving, like wacky henchman of Gotham, not this like, hey, I'm my own gangster boss. So that took a turn, I think, for the worse.
I thought that Silver St. Cloud being revealed to be just a totally evil bitch was pretty fun. I thought that when Selena and Silver were in the same room with Bruce and that whole thing going on was actually pretty great. And I love Selena's line to Alfred that smell really does slap you in the face, doesn't it?
That was Alfred's one scene in the episode, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say if you're going to only have him, that's okay for me. The Silver St. Cloud, she's good, and that actress is uncomfortably good looking. But the whole plot line just makes me like, so Theo's totally hitting that too, and his sister and Barbara. Like,
I don't think he's banging a little girl. I didn't get that. I think he's totally using the little girl, but I didn't.
I don't know. That whole plotline makes me uncomfortable. Yeah, I know. And then once I put it in your, that's uncomfortable. The Gordon plotline in this episode where he finally realizes Theo's the bad guy. I mean, I feel like we could have got a little bit more effort from Ben McKenzie out of this episode.
Yeah, McKenzie, I feel like he's just locked into this one mood. Like, Gordon is just always, He's always up. He's primed. He's ready to get in a fight. And he's serious. And I feel like he's become a worse actor since last season. He and Laurel are the two people in these shows that are not getting better or not two characters are not getting better. Well, everything else around them is. And I like Ben McKenzie. I liked his Gordon last year more than most of the characters. I want him to be good, but he's not given enough emotion. You know, he's not seeming to react realistically.
The idea of I mean, we can talk about that in a minute, but like I always hate when a henchman's plan is to just stand outside of a building and be like, fuck it, fire some bullets into it, and then we're good. Like,
yeah, that was retarded.
That is the. I mean, like, come on, writers of Gotham. Like, you can't have Zaz come up with an even better plan than that. But
well,
I mean,
they just kick in the fucking doors and start shooting, as opposed to start shooting from 50 feet away.
Yeah, that was annoying. On the other hand, we did get Harvey's first appearance this season, right? We're 6 episodes in, and this is
Harvey Bullock.
There's 2. Actually, yeah, there's only 2 Harveys on it.
Harvey Dent.
This was Harvey Dent's first appearance, and he was like just Eo's lackey. I don't get that character at all.
Maybe his second appearance. Maybe he was in one other episode beginning or something. Maybe first. I can't recall it though. And yeah, he didn't do much at all. And he seemed. I like that actor. I mean, he's not like I like him like he's a great actor. I like him because he's charismatic and fun. And he's good on stuff. He should be on this, but he didn't do much. I loved the attack of the penguins. Okay,
yeah, we can talk about the gag at the end. That was I first thought when it was just hit, like they just showed him waddling up and I was like, oh, that's retarded.
Yes, me too. Retarded.
And then it was all of them, which that was even if it's a stupid plan, like well done visual coordinator of Gotham. That was a great like just gag. That made me laugh.
No, they pulled that off great. I feel like a lot of the times the stuff that doesn't work, they're going for in the same way where they're like, well, the logic's not flawless, but it's going to look so great when we get it up there. And usually it's not really worth it. And this time it was way more than worth it, and it worked, and they pulled it off great. It even wasn't, even made enough sense that I loved it, man. It was just so awesome seeing all these fake penguins flying around, attacking people and getting mowed down. That was one, a lot of people died that night, and 2, it looked awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fluctuatingly frustrating but entertaining episode.
Who got stabbed in the throat? Didn't someone just get stabbed right in the throat?
Yeah, a penguin stabbed someone in the throat.
Yeah, I think he did.
No, the mom did.
Was it the mom?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
But I mean, so we have the kind of useless Gordon plotline and everything else, and then we have the 2 villains, like the Proto Penguin and Proto Riddler, and the end gag with the penguins was good, but the idea of this guy having the Riddler in his head and him being the first victim, the hand in the vending machine, that was a great gag too.
It was, and even the scene with Leslie and him in the morgue was well played, well put together. No, I just find the whining version so annoying. I hope that at least this either makes him less annoying and tougher, which it did most of this episode, or the evil version takes over, because this is what those are the kind of crimes that perhaps the cops couldn't solve. Again, explain why we need a Batman. Like, that's what you need. The dark, toying with people, malevolent Riddler, not necessarily, Ra's al Ghul or fucking the Joker, just murdering all kinds of people. But enough that he's still quite evil, and then smart and fun. That was really good, really well done.
I mean, what you just said is actually, I think, is a quote from Arkham Knight. When you go on your Riddler missions, Alfred chimes in and is like, "Are you sure this is the best use of your time, sir?" And Batman's like, the cops can't deal with this. This is only something like, this is only I'm smart enough for. I don't remember the exact comment, but basically Arkham Knight wrote that in it. When they used Riddler, they used him the same way. But I just, the that was I did not see that coming at all. And we could talk about things we didn't see coming when we get to Shield. I mean, right. But okay, before we move off of Gotham, because it's such a busy week, I loved Bullock's reference of Machiavelli. However, the animated Bullock that I'm most familiar with from Batman the Animated Series wouldn't have no fucking clue who Machiavelli was.
I mean, I get the impression, I don't know. I have this idea that maybe more Italians than other people would know who Machiavelli is. I get the impression that Gotham is kind of New York, and the mob presence. So or Chicago, same thing. So there's probably a greater Italian presence. So maybe he would. My issue is more if he was to say it, he probably has said, Machiavelli or something. It wouldn't have been this articulated. He has a much different take on Bullock than I've ever had in my head, or was ever in the animated series, or ever in the comics. He definitely is not quite my Bullock. Hashtag not my Bullock. Although I still like him. I think he's much better this season.
I think the show, if they made him a co-lead with Gordon and actually got it, like let Bullock have his own plot lines as opposed to just being like this rope that Gordon drags around.
And a little emotional development, perhaps.
Give him a character arc. He has no character arc so far. Like we've almost 30 episodes in, and he's the exact same person that we saw. Like, I mean, not the pilot because they didn't know what to do with him, but like third episode, like he hasn't changed he's changed, barely at all. And they could give him his own story. Yeah, I mean that was always Dexter's biggest issue, was like they would never give side plots to any of the other characters, and you just wouldn't give a shit about them. So they should really let him. A couple weeks ago, he had a little line with Ivy that was like ginger to ginger, and that was like the most entertaining thing he said on the whole season.
Yeah, that was funny. He was good this episode too. He's not getting as much time at all, but he's making so much more of it. Hope they'll bring him back and they can keep using him like they are now. You want to move on to Supergirl?
Yeah, I was gonna say
or one
Gotham, more. I gave it a C+. What did you say?
I'd give Gotham a B. I thought it was not the cleanest. It's not as clean as the most their better episodes, but what was good, I really enjoyed, and I thought it was a real fun hour. I left real happy with it. Gotham, because Batman has the advantage of having all these villains, and starting with Jim Gordon and still including Bruce Wayne, they have at least two protagonists they can always go with. And then you're right, they can always build and should build to Harvey. They should give Selena some more time, so she's always in the show, and really develop her, have her always replaying the same emotional journey, which is, I'm super tough, I'm going to be a prick. Oh, but I have a sweet side near the end of the show. And, sometimes maybe have a whole arc that then lasts and have her have changed a bit of her perspective. I don't know. But I think it has a very high ceiling. And today was a fun episode. Or not today, but that episode was a lot of fun. I liked it. So I'm going to give it a solid B. Maybe.
Okay, well, moving on to, I didn't do this with Gotham, but I'm gonna start doing this. So moving on to Supergirl season 1, episode 2, Stronger Together was the name of the episode. This was flipping fantastic. I got so much enjoyment out of this episode. When we talked last week, I saw the pilot when they leaked it off after Comic-Con in May, but I didn't rewatch it when they aired it. So watching the second episode was just, oh man, this was so good. Her costume, before we start anything else, is the perfect, like, she's pretty, she's hot, but she doesn't look like Michael Turner's like Witchblade Fathom, like straight up like teenage boy fantasy, like some of his drawings of Supergirl was like, are you drawing Supergirl? Or are you drawing a girl in a thong? Like,
drawing a porno actress. No, I thought her costume was great, and I think she looks good in it. But I think she looked like between this episode, between the pilot and this episode, that she either hit the gym hard or they inserted some pads in her shoulders or something. When she's in that costume, she looks like she has like almost a swimmer's build, where she looks like if she punched you, it's gonna hurt. Like even in real life, she could probably punch because she's got some either she looks like she's bulked up a bit and in a totally good way. Looks hot but tough. Or they may have added some pads, but either way, looks really awesome.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second. I gotta close my door. There's some background noise.
Sure. What I was gonna say next was my only 2 issues at all, which I kind of still liked, at least for the first one. The first being that she spilled all the oil by ripping the boat up. I love that they have her making mistakes and learning. The only issue I had was, okay, the minute she started pulling the boat as opposed to just going, hey, I'm Supergirl, I'll just fly around their side and push it the same direction, which was a little silly that she didn't just do that. I love that regardless, they had her making mistakes and spilling oil despite saving all the people. They're doing a very good job with this show. The one thing I didn't love, because almost everything else about the show was great, was when Cat Grant was all threatening Jimmy Olsen. I feel like they made it clear that Jimmy Olsen seemed to be well respected enough and have enough clout that either she wouldn't fire him, or if she was, he wasn't really worried about it. So either when she's all blackmailing and making him feel like he's selling out his morals, he should have given her the finger and said, you want it, you get it yourself. That's not what I do. Or she should have mentioned it like a non-compete clause. Because just by mentioning that, okay, now it makes sense, and now he's got to worry about it.
Oh, okay. So that's exactly where I wanted to go with it. Now the logic may not have worked exactly there, but that scene plus the amazing montage that like almost brought me to tears with her doing individual little super tasks.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Zack Snyder. But anyway, so this show, this is what I have. This show is The Flash, because it's obviously draws from The Flash more than Arrow. It's bright, it's shiny. She's got her own team.
No, totally, yeah.
It's The Flash plus Devil Wears Prada.
Yeah, it is.
So if the logic didn't make sense for Cat Grant's speech, the performance certainly did, because she was channeling her Meryl Streep, and I thought that was like, oh, that was well done.
I think Cat Grant is great in this. I think that what's her name? Ally McBeal, Flockhart. Yeah, I think she's acting very well. I think she's a great addition and a smart choice for this show. I thought the logic was fine. I thought she gave a good speech. It made sense. It may have definitely had some more of that Machiavelli to it in her logic. It's about suiting certain needs. It's not just you do what's the exact right thing every time. But that's okay. That's not in her character. But the logic was there enough. The fact that it was convincing made sense. I liked it. I like Cat Grant, and you're right. The show, it has Flash's bright optimism, and it's fun to watch. And it makes a pleasant hour. And they have so many options to do lots of super fun things.
I mean, this was it was just a really strong week altogether. But this is probably my number one, if only because they didn't put a name to him, but Perd Hapley is playing Perd Hapley as the news anchor in National City. Perd Hapley, the semi-mentally challenged, hilarious newscaster from Parks and Recreation. It's the same actor, and he has the exact same tone. He's like, and a girl who is super.
Yeah,
he's playing Perd Hapley.
Yeah, I didn't think. I actually noticed that too. I didn't think he seemed quite as retarded as in Parks and Rec. But yeah, he's playing all right, what if this isn't a straight up comedy? Okay, this is how this guy can be, and it was great. It's a great place to have him, and it was fun to see. It was cool seeing him again.
So yeah,
okay. My favorite part though is just the end when the director Hank Henshaw's eyes flash red. Because do you know who he is?
He's the Eradicator, right?
No, he was the other one. He's the cyborg Superman.
Well, okay. I thought that guy was the Eradicator, but
the Eradicator actually they both were they both come from Kryptonian origins, and the Eradicator I believe had to do with the cyborg's original origin from just being a scientist to that. The Eradicator came from Krypton though.
Okay, yeah. I
was to be like an assistant to Superman or to hunt something that was fighting. I don't know. It's his origin is like supposedly all the way tied to Krypton.
Yeah, I just looked this up. I should have known that. However, the Maxwell Lord thing, That is an
Yeah, that's right, Max Moore. I wrote that down too. Fucking right. That's awesome.
That's an interesting character that I wonder, like, I wonder how long this show's been in development, and I wonder when they told the Flash Arrow people that you can't use him, because I always thought he'd be a perfect villain for if they ever wanted to have someone like be a villain for both of those two to fight, he would have been perfect as like the lead guy.
Well, he's also, he has a lot of potential because he started out as a friend. He starts out as like an investor in the Justice League. He's the one that like bought one of the mansions or paid for the Hall of Justice or some crap. And he eventually, in some version, he eventually turns bad. Another version, he was playing him from the start and kind of in a Harrison Wells from last year type move.
Exactly.
So either way, he's great. And I'm okay with him being Supergirl. And I don't know why they couldn't cross over.
They've just said that they won't.
That's why they said them. All right.
Yeah. So that being said, the wife of well, okay, no. It's run by the same. It's run by the same showrunner, Berlanti and Guggenheim and Kreisberg. They all. It is run by the same people. Shield is the one that's run by the dude's wife, which is pretty funny. But anyway, yeah, he was supposed to be the villain, Maxwell Lord, in the George Miller Justice League movie that didn't get made.
Well, Adam Brody.
Yeah, which I think that guy who made the Death of Superman Lives documentary, they're making another one on the George Miller one. Which at some point they're gonna like, well, can we make a documentary on Supermax? Like, is there any footage from that anywhere? But anyway, the Supergirl was fantastic. The montage of her solving individual like crimes or whatever, like that was beautiful. I like that's the best representation of anybody's super I've ever seen. In film. That was amazing. And then,
it was right out of Superman 1.
They could do it a little bit.
It's a little bit bigger scale in that, and it's a movie, so it can be. It's not quite as everyday things, but it's still lots of small little crimes, small little emergencies, very small scale stuff as he's established himself as Superman. And it's after his first appearance, that's how he then builds himself up because also there's no major threats in Superman 1.
Right.
There's no big monsters, so it's a little bit different. But it's still how they develop it, and they do it. You're right; they do it perfectly.
I honestly forgot about that. But yes,
it's not like note for note.
Props to Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve for sure.
Yeah, it's not like note for note. They do their own thing in this, but it's very reminiscent. It's paying homage, I think, to Christopher Reeves, which they should do because it's the definitive Superman. I don't want to say the whole movies you can rewatch at a high level anymore. It's aged since then. The effects don't work as well. The intro is kind of long. It's good, but it's long. It just doesn't have the kind of pacing for today's audience. But that being said, the notes, the interpretation of the characters, it should still serve as a guiding light for a lot of it. It's just so definitive.
Yeah, and the coupled with the montage, and then they have this epic fight at the end with blasts coming out of the eyes and flying, and when she's fighting her aunt. Boy, like it's kind of nice to see one of these shows on CBS where they have a real budget. Like, wow,
it's pretty cool. I'm glad they kept the effects up after the pilot. I want to talk about Hank Henshaw a little bit more because obviously it appears they're going to be going that way pretty fast in the comics. So he starts out as a scientist, and they kind of give him a mock of Reed Richards, where he and his team go up to space and get bombarded by cosmic rays or something. But as opposed to becoming superheroes, they become the horror porn stuff. It becomes crazy, melting, and they all die. But he somehow, his consciousness through the rays gets absorbed into the machinery, and so
Josh Trank got a boner.
Yeah, exactly. It was so much better than what Josh Trank did. Holy God! But yeah, it's exactly as opposed to kind of flirting with horror powers in a superhero horror movie. This is actually what his is. It's awesome. Did you ever watch Venture Brothers?
Hell yeah!
Venture
Brothers isn't it on? Like, I've seen the trailers for the new season, and like it's insane.
Yeah, they have that. They have their version of the FF, where the Invisible Woman keeps turning like literally transparent. You can see all of her organs, and Human Torch is just a dude who catches fire and burns and screams the whole time. So like the idea of the horror porn version, it's great. But that's what Henshaw is. And so eventually he gets into the mechanics and becomes a Superman villain. After the death of Superman, he and the Eradicator are amongst the four Supermen who are claiming to be Superman Reborn, or people think might be when they introduce the clone Superboy, ends up being Connor later down. And that's my reference point for all of this. That's why I got him confused with the Eradicator, was just because
my only flirtation with any of this was in that graphic novel of the death of Superman, like the what do they call him, the
trade paperback.
Yeah, the big trade paper for that. Yeah. So that's what all that was. But Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, if you recall, is the one who brings Mongul to Earth and nukes Coast City. That guy.
Yeah. So he's the one working with Mongul that leads to Parallax, leads to the downfall of Hal Jordan, basically gave us Kyle Rayner. Thanks a lot, bro. Hank Henshaw is an evil dude. And yeah, that's it. He's an evil dude. And this could be fun.
Yeah, and that actor, David Harewood, he was on Homeland before they blew him up on there, and I loved him on Homeland. So another A+ casting job for the the DC comic people. And before we move on, Supergirl, there's two things I have to reference. The Superman made mistakes when he first started out too. Was that just like Man of Steel?
When he first started out, he kind of let a third of downtown get destroyed in Metropolis.
Yeah, I was wondering if that's what they're referencing there.
That's funny.
And then when at the very end when her version of Jor-El is talking to her hologram, and she's like, what would you ask of your mother if she were here? And then Kara's like, I'd ask for a hug. Fuck you. I was done at that point. I was just like, no, oh my God, that's like, I feel like that there's somewhere there was a Supergirl script movie that they pulled that from or something, because that's too good.
That was good. I like the old Krypton stuff. With Superman, you can only do so much where it's not just him talking to a hologram, because he was a baby when he was sent. But this girl, lived a decent portion of her life on Krypton. She could have interacted with Jor-El, with Zod, with any number, with the guys who made Doomsday, with any number of Kryptonian background stories could come from her. So I think that's pretty cool. And I like them exploring it. I want to see more of it. And hey, they can introduce things that were sent into space and banished by the Kryptonians for any number of years before the planet blew up. And Superman may only know about himself. He didn't even know about Kara.
Yeah, I mean, if certain Superman villains are off limits because of movies and other properties or whatever, you got to start thinking like, okay, so maybe she could fight. Are there any Green Lantern villains that they could pull in? I'm not sure where they.
Star Sapphire.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I mean, like she's gonna fight lots of female villains because that's just the way these things are gonna go. So they really, Star Sapphire. I mean, Cheetah. If they're not doing Cheetah in the Wonder Woman movie, I mean, like there's lots of. I just they're not gonna use like Toyman or Lex Luthor or really any Doomsday, anybody that could be involved in a movie or other property.
Okay, what about so let's say in Justice or in Batman versus Superman, I think we discussed this, and my theory was that they were going to use Michael Shannon more as Bizarro than as Doomsday. But even if they make him as Bizarro, because if Luthor's involved, that's among Bizarro's origins anyway. Even if they make him Bizarro, he can't be the ridiculous, crazy, retarded, goodbye, me, I'm leaving when he arrives, and everything, he always speaks in the backwards tense and gets names wrong, all of those things. They're not going to make him like that in the movie. I don't think that would fly in their universe. Could they make a Bizarro Supergirl that was crazy and stupid and could, or is that, would that still not fly, you think, on this level? Even if they don't have if they couldn't get rights, theoretically, if they could, do you think they could do that and get to play?
Yeah, cast the chick that. Well, if there's a Bizarro Superman, then there could be a Bizarro Super. I mean, like, right?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Especially the actual Lord.
Cupid. She was annoying enough.
She was pretty annoying, and didn't even have a good reason.
Yeah, but anyway, so Supergirl was flipping awesome. Just the montage, the fight scene, and then the I'd ask for a hug. That was just spectacular. So I give it an A-, and I had it as number 2 on my power rankings this week.
I would give it I might give it a solid A.
It was really good.
It was really good, and the fight was awesome. The choreography was good. The full-out powers. Maybe give it an A- just so it has a room to hit a ceiling. But in the scale of these comic shows and how they've been, I mean, that was. I guess The Flash has had some better episodes, and there's been some, mid-season season finales that are a good bit better. So I think you're right. A- is reasonable. It was almost flawless, but there was nothing like. There wasn't a huge moment. There was no like crazy. Oh wow! I got so excited. It was so like it was heart-beatingly tense or anything. It wasn't like that big. So I think A- is reasonable. That's a good call.
I will throw this out there. If they were going to cast Jimmy Olsen as an African-American, I guess Blake Griffin's too busy playing basketball. But
that's racist toward gingers, sir.
Well, he's the only African-American ginger I can think of. So maybe they could actually, you know what? He's got a brother who isn't good enough to play in the NBA. So they should have cast Bill Griffin or whatever, Blake's brothers.
If he's as charismatic as his brother and it's funny, that'd be fun because his commercials are the best.
But anyway, Supergirl rocked. Next week, I'm going to find out why she's allowed to have the last name Kara Danvers, yet Miss Marvel is called Carol Danvers, and how that did not ever occur to me before. So,
fair.
Okay. Yeah, it occurred to me. I was like, what? Her name is Danvers. And then I looked it up. It's always been Danvers. So that never confused anyone. Anyway, I'll find out about that next week.
I think it's just kind of like Deadpool and Deathstroke, and there's one or two others where, Marvel creates a similar, they wanted a Supergirl. And so they gave her Supergirl's name, basically. And they wanted to do they wanted to basically copy off Deathstroke. So they basically gave him Deathstroke's name. It was not always, obviously, but a couple of times, I think, beyond that too.
Yeah, sometimes it works the other way though, because like Kirby creates Vision in one house, and then the other one is like, well, Red Tornado.
Yeah. Hey,
who is coming?
The name's more original. Okay, so S.H.I.E.L.D., right?
Yeah, so Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Season 3, Episode 6, Among Us Hide, ... Among Us Hide, holy shit, I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it until this episode. I did see something coming about, I'd say, 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in. I have two notes. One, Hunter's kind of sketchy. Not Hunter, sorry. Andrew's kind of sketchy. And another comment later, like, I think he may be involved with, and then, oh shit, okay, he is. That I didn't see the final note coming, but I saw the turn.
Yeah, I mean, you could kind of see that he was asking about Lincoln just a little too hard, and you were wondering what was up with that. But
his details from what happened in the and the explosion varied too much from the facts in a way that didn't make sense. And they actively showed that bothered, that May was a little bit questioning of it. You would think it'd be easy enough for her to just accept it. So they were going to point that out. I thought that was a little bit telling.
But anyway,
it's still they revealed their hand in a good way. It still worked in while still saving but not only is he involved, boom, he's freaking Lash.
Yeah, I mean that was I totally didn't see it coming. I had last week we discussed how it's just like that was one of the best shot and acted comic book episodes ever. Whereas this week, last week was art. This week was like comic book fun, where you had kind of plot lines mixing in and out with each other. I loved Hunter was just all over this episode in so many fantastic ways. Not you, but the character. Hinting that the dude on the planet, like, so Fitz, you might not want to rescue that guy.
It seemed to me like he was funny and he was entertaining, but man, I have noted down twice. Once Hunter's being a dick, another time Hunter needs to chill a bit. Like I feel like maybe not necessarily bad acting or anything, but man, this dude he's pushing the wrong way. He's going to lead to a bad consequence here coming up soon.
But the idea of like Daisy and Mac being like, so how are we gonna? And then he just walks up and just that was freaking funny.
No, it was really funny. I'm not even saying it's poorly, like with Gotham or sometimes Arrow, I'll complain it's poor logic in the writing. I think the writing of his character makes sense. He just needs to watch out. Just advice for him in the show, not necessarily advice to the writers.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, there was just Adrian Palicki, that her and May's fight scene was pretty good, and then the fight scene in the bank was awesome. I have to wonder. I wonder if she was hurt in real life. Like,
I told you last, I thought maybe she was hurt or she was pregnant or something was going on in real life because, yeah, she had been sidelined for that point quite a long time in real life filming months and in episodes since it started the end of last season, since we've last seen her do anything.
But they actually kind of gave her, they didn't give her the mask, but like if you look up a picture of Mockingbird from Marvel with her with the big shoulder pads and the staff, I mean, that's getting really close to just putting her in her costume. I don't know why they just won't give her code name. But yeah. But yeah, I mean, that was just the four plot lines. You had the May plot, May and her, you have the Hunter and Daisy and the Coulson and this, and then you have the whole Hydra plot line. That's kind of what I enjoy most about this show, where they're just like, there was even a line where it's like, we're not ready yet, but it's a waste not to use it. And I kind of think that's a motto for S.H.I.E.L.D. itself, where like, maybe it's not perfectly ready yet, but it's fun, so let's just go ahead and do it anyway. And so they end up just throwing all these balls in the air.
I liked, I really liked most of the show. And one problem I think was in Daisy and what's the big dude's name?
Mac.
Daisy and Mac's reaction when she steals a drone and then uses it to spy, but finds Coulson in there watching what's happening, and they immediately are like, oh, what? Like, how? Why isn't he? Like, I don't know. They seem like not trust him and his course of action, and that seemed a little silly. Like he just got there, just found out, give him time, But how is that not proven to you what he's up to? But other than that one little slight thing where I was like, that was dumb. This episode was great, man. The last thing I wrote, I think, was Palicki looks amazing in the outfit. It does look great. The reveal of Andrew as Lash was awesome and played through the whole episode. The May and Mockingbird team, is that better? That's even better than the May and Hunter team, because he was getting a little bit annoying in how like strung out he was acting. So I love this new team, and that should
be the spinoff. Yeah, for sure. May and Mockingbird. Yeah. But Coulson's reaction is fine. It's actually less than Ollie's reaction, because let's be honest, Rosalind's prison is basically the exact same thing that Barry had in his basement all of season 1.
Well, no, because in this they're also like in a coma, right? They're like
yeah, but I'd almost rather be asleep than to like just be locked in isolation. You know, they didn't like any of them talk to each other. But Ollie at some point was like, "You can't have this, bro. This is like a secret prison." So it is maybe a more of an extreme thing, but
no, you're right though. At least it's government sanctioned, and it's not just you with a bunch of slaves in a room in your house.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like Barry had anybody he kept in there could like sue Star Labs for like imprisonment.
Yeah, wrongful imprisonment for sure. They're just a bunch of kidnappers, really.
Yeah. Like I maybe it was Diggle or somebody, but somebody that actually worked with Argus last year, like reacted like in a, what the fuck is this way?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got to. You're right. It's crazy, and they kept acknowledging it. I guess now there's no one in there, or has everyone died so far from Earth 2?
No, they had at the beginning of this season they had a line where like, oh, now Blackgate has a
That's right. That's right. Okay, so thank goodness that's out of the way.
Yeah, I mean that must all of last season. I was like, so they're just, you know, I'm all about civil rights and habeas corpus and stuff, and Barry was just like, fuck it, all of season 1.
Yeah, that was pretty hardcore. At least he then knew it was his responsibility to try and save them at the end, which did work out the logic for him trusting Cold, and it was made for a great episode. But yeah, that was pretty bad, pretty messed up.
But anyway, Shield was great. Rosalind just wanted to get laid. Poor girl. Coulson's all like, "Why do you have this? Why do you have this? You got my burger because why?" And she's like, "Dude,
you think she was trying to get
like,
laid?
That's all that."
Do you think she was trying to get laid, or do you think that she's playing him for the next next episode? I couldn't decide which I thought was more likely. Was he right at the end and she really was being open and she was just trying to bang or something and she likes him? Or is she trying to set him up to have sympathy for her like he thought all along, but now she's actually won?
It's got to be Coulson is it's 2.5 seasons in. It's almost like they had this is the 50th episode of S.H.I.E.L.D. I actually read that on the other day. So, and like every other character has had a romantic interest at some point, like literally except Coulson. So, well, actually, no, I take that back. They had that one chick from like his past, but you got to think that
she wasn't even a romantic interest in the show. He just had to help save her. Remember, he couldn't even talk to her.
So you got to think that they're setting. I mean, I thought the whole breaking May and Andrew up until they revealed their real reason for that was to get them together. But yeah, Coulson's got to be paired off with someone. That's not even comic book show rules. This is like television 101.
I hope that's the case because I agree that would be cool. I fear, or at least I suspect that you know, coming as we near the mid-season mark, that she may end up being the end villain, and that she has just won an important battle in the Battle of Wits between the two of them.
Who was the guest star at the end? He looked like some 90s guy. I didn't recognize that dude. But obviously,
I didn't write anything down. Remind me who.
It's like, I don't know. It wasn't Edward James Olmos because they already used him, but you know,
Powers Booth.
Powers Booth. There you go. I knew it was just some random dude from the 90s.
Yeah, Powers Booth. He was in an awesome Brandon Lee movie called Rapid Fire, I think. And
Brandon Lee made movies that weren't The Crow?
Yeah, he made Showdown Little Tokyo with Dolph Lundgren and the bad guy from The Rising Sun, I think. And it was awesome. It was super awesome. They're two cops, and Dolph Lundgren was raised in Japan, so he has the heart of a samurai, while Brandon Lee, even though he's the Asian one, was raised in L.A., so he has the heart of a cool L.A. guy. And they're the odd couple with kung fu, and they just kick a bunch of ass and murder people, and there's boobs and drugs, and it's just badassery. And then they stick someone on his wheelie, and he throws a spear through him, and it's awesome. So, and Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is really cool, too.
I'm going to attempt to make that relevant to this episode. So they announced this week that they are officially moving forward with the remake of The Crow after like 18 tries in the last 15 years. Brandon Lee was the star of The Crow and died in the making of it. However, we don't need that. Remake that movie you just described.
Yeah. Showdown Little Tokyo.
I want to watch that. I don't want to watch The Crow. I want to watch that. That sounds fucking amazing.
It was awesome, and everyone should watch it because it makes you a better person.
Is it as good or as bad as Only the Strong?
Oh, way better. Way better. Better. Like, it's so awesome. There's one scene, right? And there's this blonde chick with this great rack that had told told the cops stuff. She turned informant. And she works at a club for the Japanese guy that I told you about, the mobster from the Rising Sun. And so he brings her in the room, and the big thing is ice. They're selling just the purest meth ever, and it's killing people because it's so powerful, and drug war. And so he brings her in, and he takes her top off, and she just has this amazing rack. And he gives her some drugs, and so she's smoking drugs, and he's got her top off, and he reaches behind him, and he grabs his fucking samurai sword, just cuts her head off. And then later on, he has lots of kung fu fights. So it's the best.
Yeah, it's Hollywood. You make that more of that, less. I mean, The Crow is like, if someone took The Used and gave him a superhero outfit.
Yes,
like that is emo. We don't need any of that. Anyway, that's just whatever. Flash season 2, episode 5, Darkness in the Light. This was a perfectly good Flash episode. And I gotta find my notes. So
okay. So future or Earth 2 Wells.
There you go. Yes.
Back. Okay. Wells is back in the show. He's not your friendly neighborhood Harrison Wells anymore. He's now kind of a prick. But it was great. This episode, I feel I don't know. Let's talk it out first before I grade it because I want to get over it. But I thought it was an awesome episode. Spivot, that whole thing, she's very cool. And Cisco is the best, and that whole scene was awesome. I love this show.
Yeah. Okay, so starting with the Harrison Wells, I have this written down as it's the Mad Eye Moody effect. Like, JK, I don't know if she was the first one to really do that, but that's my first incarnation of that was like having a character. I mean, they didn't really do it in the movie, but like having the same visual character, like letting them play two completely versions of them, like of themselves in subsequent seasons or books. So yeah, this Harrison Wells is just a dick. And that's a great way for him to play it. So he's just an asshole. And he's very like short and succinct. He doesn't like giving long speeches. So he's in a lot of ways he's the opposite of the other Harrison Wells.
Cisco had that line, I think. Our Dr. Wells may have been evil, but you're just a dick. And I just thought it was great. I really like this. I like this new Harrison Wells, and I'm curious if they're going to feel the need to make him evil again at the end of it all, and have on Earth 2 the one similarity was he was still Reverse Flash, or is in their universe is it just Zoom and Garrick, which makes
I think
that's much sense.
I mean, we can get into who is Zoom after. I think it's Barry.
That's what I was thinking too.
Or it would be really freaking cool. Zoom's suit is like muscular, right?
Yeah.
It's more like muscular defined. That would be a cool way to get John Wesley Shipp back into a Flash costume.
Is by having a suit more like his old.
Yeah, and that it's in the Zoom is Earth 2 Henry Allen or something.
That would be awesome. That would be a great idea.
Because they did just write that guy off, and then he didn't leave the show because he's still listed as a series regular for season 3. So that's I maybe there's something there. I love that the multiverse in this show is just a thing that people just like casually throw out. Like, oh, hey, the multiverse, Earth 2, Earth 1. You know, it's like we're already past this point where this is just an accepted fucking jargon.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree. I have the same note. Just tossed in there. Well, the multiverse, this and that. It's just accepted. The 52's there. It's a multiverse, and we're good to go. Awesome. And you know what? I want to move on to the villain quick. Dr. Light. I love Dr. Light. I think it's a cool character. She's a cool character in the comics. But when I say I love Dr. Light, I love the messed up, twisted, evil Dr. Light, who wasn't even Dr. Light in the comics most of the time. Just, you know, when he went crazy and became that version during Identity Crisis. Thank you. Like before that, Dr. Light wasn't some great villain anyway. So there's no reason this version can't go crazy. And I have no particular attachment to the male version or his name.
Well, yeah, I mean the female Doctor.
Here, one second. I have a maintenance guy just showed up.